Did you know, ladies and gentlemen, that there is a major divide right now in American Christianity over whether or not pastors should address cultural issues in the pulpit? Like a major divide. Like people that write for Christianity Today write extensive articles about how pastors should stop it. They should shut their mouths about politics in the pulpit or cultural issues. And they do it very pietistically. They make quite a case. But it's an unbiblical case, let's be honest. It's an unbiblical case because they are calling pastors to be un-Christ-like. Because Jesus himself pushed back against the cultural evils of his day. I'm telling you that just because politicians have decided to bring morals into politics, that doesn't mean that pastors should stop preaching morality. Jesus said that the world hated him because he testified of it, that the works thereof are evil. I'm saying that every Christian in every church anywhere should want their pastor to testify when the works of the world are evil. Christians need to stop trying to stop the mouths of pastors and Christians who call out evil in the culture. Because Jesus did it, and don't you want a Christ-like pastor? And not only did Jesus model this, but it's also instructed in the pastoral epistles to preach in such a way. The pastoral epistles, you know them off the top of your head, right? Like 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus. Why do you think the Apostle Paul told Timothy so many times, Timothy, don't be afraid? Like famously, most all of us can quote, Paul telling Timothy that God hath not given us the spirit of fear, Timothy, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Well, if Timothy was just supposed to go quietly shepherd the sweet-spirited flock in Ephesus, what is there to fear? If he's just preaching all the time to people that agree with him, that sit in the amen section, that encourage their young pastor, why would Paul have told Timothy so many times, Timothy, don't fear? Well, it's because Paul also told Timothy that he was going to have to preach the law to the lawless. And he was going to have to preach to the disobedient there in Ephesus. The culture of Ephesus in Timothy's day was an absolute abhorrent mess. Timothy was going to have to address the ungodly and the sinners and the unholy and the profane. Timothy, hey, don't fear, because you're going to have to address the murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers. Do you understand? I'm quoting right now references from 1 Timothy chapter 1, the pastoral epistle. Like, Timothy, go push back against the unrighteousness of even murder. Deal with the manslayers, Timothy. You're going to have to push back against the whoremongers who defile themselves with mankind. He was going to have to address liars, the text says, and any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. Push back against the culture, Timothy, and do it like Jesus did. And the same thing is true in Titus. Titus, ordain elders in every city throughout Crete. Why? Because you're going to have to deal, Titus, with the people that have defiled minds and consciences. You're going to have to rebuke the people who profess themselves that they know God, but in their works they deny him. Titus, why don't you, in your ministry, ordain elders that are prepared to rebuke the people who are abominable and disobedient and even reprobate, because those people are subverting whole households. Titus, that's your ministry. Titus, ordain elders that want to be like Christ and testify against the works of the Cretan world and how evil they are. That's why people didn't like Jesus' sermons. That's why they wanted to kill him. Some of us have this mental picture that Jesus just, it's this overemphasis on peace and an overemphasis on love. Like Jesus would just, if he was here, he would sit Indian style up on a platform and I would do that for you, but I'm not sure I could get back up, okay? That's an uncomfortable position. And then he would just sing Kumbaya. And everything would just, and no push. And I've even heard people say blasphemous stuff, like he would pull up a bar stool and have a beer with somebody, and go down to the club. And after all, he did, of course, minister to prostitutes, and he ministered to sinners. And so they take that way out of context and act like Jesus would just participate in all their sin. No. Nonsense. Again, blasphemous to say such things. No. He pushes back against the unrighteous and wickedness in the day. And they want to kill him for it. John chapter 7, verse number 7. That the works thereof are evil, the end of the verse. Notice verse number 6 of John 7. All right, so we've kind of covered most of 1 through 5. Now Jesus says unto them, my time is not, and when he says unto them, he's talking to his brothers. My time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. Now what is he talking about there? They were saying, go show yourself to the world. He's saying it's not time for me right now to show myself to the world, but your time is always ready. When Jesus shows himself to the world, they're going to crucify him. They're going to kill him. But your time is always ready. Why? What does that mean? Well, the world cannot hate you, but it hateth me, he says, because I testify of it. Like he's saying to his brothers, your time is now. You could go show yourself to the world, and they're going to be fine with you. They're not going to kill you. He says, because at this point, by the way, his brothers are not saved. They're not counterculture. They're part of the culture. And so it's no big deal for them. It's a big deal for him because the world hates him, because he testifies against the world that the works thereof are evil. And this is what he does in his sermons.